I'm standing here with Professor Mattias Lindahl, and after the Future Day, where we have shared knowledge about science. And I especially picked on something that you mentioned and presented in today's presentation. And that was a new model, a new view of the importance of detoxification in a circular economy. Please tell us more about this.
I think this model, what it tries to show is that you also need to purify the flows. And also don't look on this as a linear thing. It should be more of a web of activities that keep materials and resources in society, in use in society. That you have different activities, for example, refurbishing or recycling as activities to actually get the resources, materials, products back into the use phase. But in those flows, you also need to consider how to purify those materials, products, and resources so that you're not getting accumulation of unwanted materials in society. And because related to that, you also then need to understand that those processes will also require resources. And that is quite often neglected because for example, remanufacturing process needed in order to make a product last longer itself is not necessarily circular, and it requires resources. So you need to secure that the process needed for keeping material resources in use is not exceeding the value it provides to society.
Big benefit of enabling circular material flows are, of course, that we can make sure that we reduce the risk to overshoot any of the planetary boundaries if we can make sure that we decontaminate, remove unwanted substances. Your model, now presented in ICC's global report about challenges, blockers to transform to a circular economy, just this month from Paris. What do you hope to happen with this report, and especially your model, of course?
I think an important message in the model is that the systems needed for increased circularity is using resources, but it's also important means for purifying our current societies, existing resource flows, but also securing that we don't continue to put in resources or unwanted substances in our society. So what I think is good with this model is that it also highlights, for example, the European Union now starts to have requirements, or want to have requirements that you should have X percentage of recycled materials, for example plastic, in new products. But then it's important that 30%, for example, is really purified, so we don't actually get accumulations of unwanted substances. Because of one loop and then we have the second loop, we will have unwanted things happening in society. So I think that is hopefully policymakers, companies and so on will have a better understanding and visualization of what they need to think about and what could be the consequences if they don't consider this that the model tried to show us.
From the International Chamber of Commerce side, I think that the trade of resources, independently if it's from virgin production or from circular material flows, need to be enabled. I think this model can support that, enabling that we don't end up in a problem with, for example, the Basel Convention. Instead, we really see that we trade resources that are needed. Any last comment you would like to send to the viewers?
Actually, start doing things because we have already a lot of knowledge. Look into your business or if you're politicians, what area you are in, what can I do with my already existing knowledge? And start to collaborate within the value flows because you can't create a circular economy if you're a company just within your own company. You need to collaborate within the value chain, but also within your value networks. And if you're politicians, please try to see and talk with those ones in that value network, value chain. How can we support and how can you support? For example, enabling that a resource in the value chain or value network can be used over and over again. So it's not considered to be something you just use once. And one way to do that could be that if you are in control of public procurement, actually set up requirements for that what you procure should be designed and used within a constant flow. that if you have a product, you should secure that the resources in that product can easily be reused in future products. So I would say that is important message. Think longer and focus on how can we make and provide more value with less resources and less losses of resources over time.
Thank you so much, Professor Lindahl. And from Ragn-Sells side, we look forward to continue to work with you and support you in your important work going forward.
Thank you.